And just this last week, I was asked by a new homeschool mom, what should I put in the basket, the morning basket? I don't know what you call it. I don't know if you do it, but this is something that I did for years.
This is rivalry. We have Mom first impressions only, she says. We have Rachel's if I don't win, someone's gonna die before we leave. And Zachary, I just wanna win. It's not fair. The game goes on.
And so inside this basket, I've got some of the very favorite things that I've got in here that I used over the course of time, the things that I just can't give away. There are so many possibilities. I would suggest that anything that you include in this basket could be something that would help you explore, maybe questions that your kids are asking, maybe questions you're asking, maybe there's certain interests that you've had that you didn't explore when you were younger. This is your opportunity. And I would gather those questions and use them as an opportunity to check stuff out on YouTube. So I'd include like a 5-minute clip at times to learn more about whatever topic they were curious about. But it could be exploration stuff, it could be fun stuff for your kids or for you. It could be stuff that's kind of odds and ends to your homeschool, the stuff that you don't think really fits into the full day of your school. And also it could be things that you could create with your hands, because you could be keeping the kids busy while you're doing a read aloud. And I have actually found that kids are a whole lot more engaged when their hands are busy. If morning basket isn't a new thing for you and you actually have one, you've been doing this for quite some time, I'd like to actually hear what you're including in your morning basket, if you put that down below. And also, if you're somebody who is planning for next year and you already know some of the resources that you're planning to put in there that are new, I would love it if you would put in the comments section a few things that you're doing. I always want to learn what it is that other people are actually using. This is me with my youngest way back when. Just proof that I actually did do homeschooling, because you'll see on my account a lot about homeschooling, but you won't always see the kids. So I've got a journal. This will definitely be in the Homeschool Mama giveaway, but I have also created journals. I have designed homeschool journals with prompts that I think will be beneficial for homeschool moms because I've been there and lived that. This one is the Wellness Guide for Homeschool Moms, a colored version of this journal, and it has many different prompts available inside. A journal for each day. There's a lot of beautiful self-compassion exercises, a lot of thought exercises, visioning exercises, all sorts of beautiful things. Of course, inside of this giveaway, you are going to see a bar of sea salt lint dark chocolate, because that's my very favorite, and also the copy of my book, Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer. And this is the beautiful book, Because Barbara Cooney Paints Her World. It's absolutely gorgeous, by Sarah Mackenzie. She's also given me another book. I feel like I'm getting my head start on books for my grandchildren who don't exist while everyone is sleeping. And I gave another one away in, I believe it was February. So some of the things that I would include in here. This is a collapsible chessboard. This obviously is not something that every child is interested in. I had a kiddo or two that were, and they would keep busy listening to the read aloud by keeping their hands busy. You could do any activities for that. I would go to the dollar store and get things like Wiki Sticks or, I don't know, cheap Lego building kind of products. Keeping the hands busy, it's useful. This is one of the first books that I actually used to teach my kids to read. I figured if I could learn to read with this book, they could too. And so this is something that I would do sometimes with one or two of the kids, depending on who was at that stage at the time. And when we were, let me see, I think we were in Kenya, we were in Western Africa, rural Africa, and we read A Wrinkle in Time. Really, if you haven't read this, you got to read this. So good. So there'd always be a read aloud in my morning basket. I personally really love learning about the great composers or really learning about music history. So you could grab a Spotify playlist. You could actually just grab your Spotify app and do a little reading every morning and then actually listen to the piece as you're reading it or after you're reading it. You could have one of the older kids read it as well. This is not a cheat. I just want to say, having your kids read something while you're sitting and maybe you're knitting or maybe you're folding laundry or something and the other kid's listening, that's not a cheat. That's useful. That's a useful strategy when you're homeschooling. I also, you're not going to notice what this is because I always take the book covers off of this, but this says Michelangelo by... Well, Michelangelo. It's the Sistine Chapel. I did do a trip to Italy, and I loved the art in Italy. So I got that, I think, at a secondhand store. And of course, if you know me at all, then you'll know that I love Monet. And so we'd have this as a coffee table book, but it would also be something to look through every morning. Sometimes I used it for my homeschool mama quiet time. And I still can't find that CD. But The Story of the Orchestra by Robert Levine is one of my very favorite resources that just teaches us about musical instruments that you would find inside of the orchestra. And you can actually, the CD is remarkable. I know it's still for sale, but you can listen to the different instruments playing the different parts. And it's very readable, very easy to read. Highly recommend it. That one is not going anywhere. I will not be giving that one away. Then, of course, there's all sorts of coloring books that you can find at art galleries, some of my very favorite places to be. Vincent van Gogh. But this entire series, Katie and the Sunflowers by James Mayhew, they introduce you to various art and artists, and I really did enjoy every one of these stories. Also cannot give these ones away, but the art is beautiful, and so are the words. Naturally, I've got The Secret Garden in here, but part of the reason I included The Secret Garden is because I always had drawing things in an art basket, and oftentimes I'd spend 5 minutes using some art training book, a very simple one for me and the kids. I was fairly new at drawing when I first started homeschooling, so I was doing it alongside the kids. Also, you could just take a drawing book and go outside and take one of these chapters, read one of the chapters, have the kids read one of these chapters while you're doing a little nature journaling. And The Tales from Shakespeare by Charles and Mary Lamb. If no one's introduced you to this one, I think this one is a highly valuable book. It isn't super easy to read, but it most accurately depicts the story without real Shakespeare. It's sometimes tricky actually to bring in Shakespeare because there's a lot of really beautiful versions of it that are obviously not the legit version, but this one really puts together the plot really nicely, so it's easy to follow and it's readable. And how interesting. That bookmark from 1999. Okay, so Macbeth, well, that is disturbing. Okay, anyways, this is some of the things that I put inside of my morning basket.